Right. I guess we're already having a good time, so we can just start the
Hey, I'm
interview
here.
right here. Thanks a lot for being here with me, Samabam, Samuel, as you wish to be called. Please, just say so.
Yes.
So you're, to most people, most known for being a Forgotten Sands speedrunner and the best one in the world at that. So going a step back from speedrunning to the casual experience, do you still remember your first Prince of Persia game or your first moments with the Prince of Persia game and how that was?
Lightly. I was exposed to the series by my older brother when I was pretty young. It was definitely the trilogy, almost definitely Sands of Time, because I believe he played them like as they came out. But yeah, I was a big fan of the series from about as young as I can remember, which in all fairness isn't really that young, but as far back as I can remember. And I remember liking the Two Thrones a lot as a kid, but yeah, that's what I've got there.
Okay. So you played through the Sans trilogy first as a kid. Um,
hmm
what did you follow that up with? Like, did you play the
I
classics after that at some point, or the original, like the
no,
modern games? Sorry.
I don't know when I became aware of the fact that there were games before the Sans trilogy. I don't remember like the actual moment that I came upon that knowledge, but I'm not usually one to go back and play older games. So the thought honestly never even occurred to me until I was in the speedrunning community, but I did play through 2008 on PS3 back when it was still new, and then I pre-ordered actually the Forgotten Sands, which
Okay.
was the first game I ever got the platinum trophy for. And I actually kind of did it by accident because the achievements in that game are absurdly easy. Um, there's like one achievement which is to jump from enemy to enemy, like you know how you can jump on their heads.
Mm,
You have to jump from enemy to enemy. I think it's 25 times without
yeah.
touching the ground, which just cancer. But that was the last trophy, right? Like I got all the other ones on accident, and I was like, well, now I have to get this one. Um, so yeah, I did kind of play them sequentially as they came out in order. So
So was it already when you got the that platinum trophy? Was that already um, the moment when Forgotten Sands became your favorite game of the pop franchise, or
I honestly wouldn't say it's my favorite game. It's my favorite speed game. Um, it's the funnest to speed run.
okay,
But
but
I would say it's
casually?
yeah, casually it's maybe like second, third place. I would say that I like Warrior Within and the Two Thrones more than it. Um, but I definitely really liked it. I know it got some middling reviews, and some of the other people in the community aren't super crazy about the changes they made to the control scheme.
Mm.
But at that point, it had been what 4 or 5 years since the Two Thrones came out, and it's not like I had been grinding it every day in that time. I didn't even remember what the controls were like for the originals, so to me it just made sense. It's like this is how the game controls. Didn't feel as wrong as it does for someone who jumps straight from a trilogy game into it. Um, but no, I did really like it, and I beat it. I think 2 or 3 times in a row, like over the course of a couple days, to get all the trophies and stuff. And of course, I never thought I would come back and be beating it multiple times a day later on, but such is life.
Right. So how much time passed between you beating the game multiple times, not a day, but just at all,
Mhm.
and then and the thought occurring, I could maybe speedrun this, or like how were your first contacts to the speedrun scene in general?
Right. So I was super big into Minecraft. I still am, but I was super big into Minecraft in this time period, which would have this it was 2015, I think, was the year I became aware speedrunning existed. And there was a Minecraft YouTuber named Seth Bling who made like crazy redstone computers and all that kind of stuff, who I was a big fan of, and I followed him, and he started streaming Super Mario World speedruns on Twitch. And I was like, oh, this is super cool. Like all these crazy glitches and stuff. And like, this looks super fun. And then that was like right around that time they discovered Ace for that game, the
Mm.
credits warp and everything. He was like one of the first person. I think he was the first person to ever perform it on an actual console. So that was all very exciting and stuff. And he announced he put out like a YouTube video. He was like, hey, I'm going to this thing called AGDQ. If you want to check it out. And so it was, it was January of 2015 or whatever, and I was a poor college kid in a cold apartment with some snacks, just watching people obliterate games in ways I never thought possible. And it inspired me to try it out. I looked through my Steam library, and I wanted to find a series that I liked, but probably hasn't been speedrun so much that I stand no chance of being good at it compared to other people. Um, and I came across Prince of Persia, and I said, "Oh, I really like these games, and I bet they're not that heavily speedrun." I went to YouTube and I looked up Sands of Time, maybe just Prince of Persia speedrun. I don't know, like don't know exactly what I searched, but I came across a video of zipping, and I had no idea at the time, but it had just been discovered. It was still like brand new. And I watched it and I went, that's some crazy hocus pocus shit. I'm not fucking with that. And I went to the Forgotten Sands, which had only a couple videos of like someone had done a segmented run and like there were some forum posts. Um, and so I started pursuing that instead because I remembered that I liked it and it seemed like it was easier to get into because zipping just seemed mystical and impossible to me. Like I had no understanding of how you did it. I just watched the character go insane for like 10 seconds and then fly through walls, and I was like, I probably can't do that. Um, and that's the story of how I accidentally didn't become part of the community for an entire year. Um, so yeah, I that was how I got into speedrunning the Forgotten Sands. I grinded and got better and found new skips and eventually beat what I thought was the world record, which was the fastest time posted on the SDA forum of like 140 something, I think, or something like that. It actually may have been 150 something. And then I every once in a while I would do another Google search for more strats to see if I had missed anything, right? And one day I did that, and your race with fingers came up, and I was like, there are at least two other people running this game right now, and they're faster than me. That's a problem. Um, so I watched your guys' runs very closely, stole all of your strats that I could, and eventually beat Finger's world record, which I think my first time was a 147 something. Was the first time I ever posted. And I didn't even know speedrun.com existed, so I actually tweeted it at him and posted it to the speedrun subreddit, and that was how Asco found me and invited me to the Discord.
Oh.
And it's then I found out you were accusing me of cheating before I got there. And
Wouldn't even know what that means, Sam,
no,
but
of course. Well, anyway, I'm sure we can move on to the next question now. I've ranted enough.
no, it's fine. It's always interesting to hear about these stories, how people get into these new hobbies they never even thought about previously. And so you spoke about all the skips and strats you got first from SDA, then
Mhm.
from our runs, mostly finger stuff. I also just stole stuff, really, as you know.
Yeah.
So did you also discover skips in Forgotten Sands, and or could you name a favorite technique or skip from your speed game?
Yeah. I found lots of stuff. I don't think I've ever found a glitch that you can use in multiple places, right? Like a general purpose glitch. I don't think I've ever discovered that in a speed game, but I tend to take the glitches other people find and find new applications for them. Um, and so for a long time in the Forgotten Sands, there's this area right after the terrace where you can clip through a wall and you can see that down below you there's a sarcophagus. And if you try to jump down to it, you end up on an invisible ceiling, which causes the prince to fall infinitely and you can't do anything. And we knew about that for years. And it was one of those things that was always in the back of my mind, like subconsciously 24 hours a day I was thinking, what if we tried this? Maybe we could try that. I was like, it's this close. It's this close to working. And eventually when Epic Dude Guy discovered wall storage, uh, we finally had a way to make it work. And so I went and I developed a way of doing it reliably in the any percent route with like all the powers and stuff we had at that point. And it worked and I timed it and it saved time. And it uses so many different techniques, that skip, and also just the fact that I thought we would never be able to do it. So that those two things combined, every time I do it, a little part of my brain goes, ha, and it just makes me happy. So,
oh, that's great. So maybe as a final question, because we're way over time, but I mean, whatever. Fuck Orga, they'll have to deal with that. Is weird sound, but okay. Is there a memory that comes to mind related to pop speedrunning that you hold dear, that you think back on, you think that was really cool that happened, that I was part of it, or something along those lines?
Yeah. I'm sure there are lots, and I'm sure the longer I sit here, the more would come to mind. But the very first thing that came to mind was at SpeedCon, right after I got to 2019, right after I got to the venue. Uh, we all met up as a group, and Eraser and I saw each other in person for the first time. And we just very solemnly stared at each other, and literally everyone else in the group just slowly dispersed and left, and we were just standing there still staring at each other, with our rivalry, so to speak. And that was just such a hilariously ridiculous moment that's like something out of like a book or a TV show that like shouldn't happen in real life. That I have fond. That is a very fond memory of mine.
Wow, yeah. Actually, as soon as you started talking about it, I was like, yeah, I remember that. It was a, from as an outsider, from an outsider's perspective, it was a kind of peculiar moment, but also in retrospect, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope 15 minutes are enough to set up the next run. Orga, like, looking at you. So thanks a lot to you, Sam, for your time.
Yes, thank you for asking the questions.
And next up is gaming.